Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, family. It's your brother, Mr. Holipsism. Wanted to talk about something that was on my mind. And I haven't done a video like this in a while where I just, mostly I've been doing the live streams and stuff. But I want to talk about this whole cut the check bullshit in terms of reparations. And we got people going around putting microphones in politicians' faces saying, yo, you gonna cut the check? You gonna cut the check? And then if the politician doesn't answer them or they don't, acknowledge him or they ask them what check, what are you talking about, checks to who, then they paint the picture that they're offending black people, they're disrespecting black people. When in actuality, you're disrespecting black people because you don't have any solutions and any way to explain how reparations are going to be distributed. So you're coming at people with vagaries, and then you're mad because they can't commit to them. And keep in mind, I'm not defending the politicians because they're full of shit. They're only going to go with what is beneficial for themselves and their own personal interest. So I don't give a fuck about politicians. But I really, just because I don't give a fuck about them don't mean that I'm giving you props for being on point. And I'm seeing this stuff and it's fucking irritating me, man. Because what is pointing out is this glaring thing that I'm hoping that everybody gets the picture by now because it's glaring. Negroes don't want nationhood. Negroes do not want a nation of their own. And the reason why, see, when you peep why people are saying cut the check, and when you peep why people want individual checks, it's very simple. Everybody talks about responsibility. That's a big thing, especially with black conservatives and right-leaning black folks. Oh, you got to be responsible. That's the problem with black folks. They don't have responsibility and blah, 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 blah. One thing, let me tell you about conservatives and right-wingers. Right-wingers are the most full of shit people on the face of the goddamn earth. They don't believe a fucking thing coming out of their mouth, and they change their ideology depending upon the situation. They don't have any principles that they hold by. Unless it's the principles of fucking over working class people and getting tax breaks. Now that they have a strong commitment to. But all of this morality bullshit, they throw morality out the fucking window when it comes to a situation that involves them. Perfect example, you have them railing against homosexuality and then sucking some dude's dick at a fucking road stop on a highway. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a fuck. If they parents, if they kids are gay, they against homosexuality until it's affecting their kids, and then all of a sudden they switch around and then they turn 4. They become pro-homosexual. It has nothing. They don't have any principles. They don't. Their philosophy is, if it doesn't affect me, then it doesn't bother. I don't give a fuck about it. Until it affects me personally, then I'll get involved. So I don't. The people like that don't have any fucking principles. They don't have anything that they stand by. Their shit is all situational. It's like what the Joker was saying. They're only as good as society allows them to be. You take away the little safety nets and all that other shit and the things that they expect, and they will turn into fucking animals. But that's an aside. What I'm here to talk about is Negroes and why they want checks over nationhood and why they do not want nationhood. See, I raised the point on my last video about the West Germany thing between the agreement, reparations agreement between Israel and Watch, don't let me not say Israel, between the Jews and the West Germany. And the reason why I'm not saying Israel is because I'm trying to make a point. I'm looking at them as a people instead of a state, which is what black folks here who cut the check want us to be. We just want us to be a scattered group of individuals instead of an actual organized body, which would be a state. They didn't cut checks to individual Jews. What they did was they cut a check to the World Jewish Council, or what is it? World Jewish Congress or something like that, and the state of Israel. So that money, that reparations went toward building up the country and building up infrastructure. The reason why Negroes in America do not want a government that represents them is because they feel more confident in the American government's ability to cut a check for them than they do in their own government's ability to do so. I mean, is anybody going to fight me on that? You don't want us to have a organized body that represents black folks here in America, because reparations would go to that organized body, and then that organized body would I mean, and I'm talking about, keep in mind, I'm not talking about bootlicking Negroes as an organized body, but I'm talking about people who are black nationalists and African-centered progressives who actually give a fuck about black people. Let's say those are the people that are in charge of our government. What they're going to do is that reparations is going to go toward a piece of independent territory on the continent. A deal to be brokered with whatever African nation that we decide to broker a deal with. And then that money, that reparations, instead of going into checks for individuals, it will go toward infrastructure, which means we would be creating jobs for our people because we'd be building up our land. Now, if a check is to be cut to individuals, that check would be cut by our government. See, I just explained how you distribute reparations to black folks in America. I want you to ask the cut to check people how they intend to distribute checks or distribute money to black people here in America. And how are you going to keep people who are not black from claiming black and getting a part of that money? Because I see a whole lot of holes and a whole lot of ways for people to slide on in. But I tell you one thing, if you had a government and you had an independent piece of territory, and that independent piece of territory was for descendants of, I should say, what's the term? Descendants of enslaved Africans. Not this American descendants of slaves bullshit. Descendants of enslaved Africans. If that piece of territory was for descendants of enslaved Africans and Africans on the diaspora, then you would have to become a part of that nation in order to receive anything. So there's the checks and balances. There's the thing that would allow, or that would not allow, people who are not a part of our demographic to come in and reap the benefits of what we're getting. But see, this is something, it's so funny, man. And this is the reason why this triggers me so much, because I'm getting deja vu. The conscious community loves vague abstractions. They never love anything that's tangible and concrete. It has to be vague. It has to be abstract. Because, see, the true reason why it has to be vague, it has to be abstract, is because once you start getting down to nationhood and governments, then what you start getting down to is responsibility. In other words, you can't come out here and be a black talking head acting like you represent black people, because in a government, you have to be voted in. There has to be some consensus. And that's what these people do not want. They do not want responsibility. They do not want liability, but they also want to represent you at the same time. So they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to represent you and have no liability for representing you. So if shit don't go the way that you want, you can't do anything to them because, hey, I'm just an individual. Yeah, but you speaking for me in front of governments. You speaking to me in front of the United States. But you don't represent me, and you're not liable in case you don't do what the fuck you supposed to do. See, I'm so fucking used to this, man. This is why I say I'm triggered by this, because this is deja vu all over again. I went through the same crap in the conscious community, and I'm going through the same crap now. Motherfuckers do not want anything tangible and concrete. This is simple. No reparations. If there's no nationhood, there's no fucking reparations, as far as I'm concerned. You have to look at yourselves as a nation of people. Because if you look at yourself as a nation of people, then all of a sudden, all of these problems, like people trying to figure out, well, gee, how do you give this money to all these descendants of African, of enslaved Africans here in America? How do you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And you like twisting, trying to figure this shit out. Where it's so fucking simple if you looked at it from the perspective of nationhood. If you looked at it from the perspective of nationhood, the first thing that you would do, if we had intelligent leaders here in America, this is what would happen. The first thing you would do is you would find out, all right, how can I put this? You would find out or assemble, for lack of a better word, all of the talent in your nation. Now, don't ask me how you do that. I'm just saying that you need to do it. You assemble all the talent in your nation. Then after you assemble all that talent in your nation, you find out what your talent is. In other words, you muster up. And after you figure out all the talents of the people in your nation, then what you do is you pick from that talent pool and you form an organizing body. That organizing body is your government. I should say the beginning of your government, because, until you get land and control territory, you're just a government in name only. But the point is to get land and territory and infrastructure and build it up. So this is what you do. You form your organizing body, and that organizing body represents the people in America. And I'm talking about black folks in America. I'm talking about descendants of enslaved Africans specifically in America. They represent them. So now, when you bring reparations to the table, now you have an organized body that represents you. So now it's not about how do we distribute these checks to individuals. Now it's how do we get it. Actually, it's not even a how. The reparations go directly to your representatives. That's how it works. And if there's any checks to be doled out, it'll be doled out by your government. Of course, after you establish your land and after you establish and start creating your infrastructure. Because that alone, if you're smart, is going to make you a millionaire. By investing and reinvesting in your own nation while you're building it up. You know what's the really sad thing? As I talk and I say this stuff, I don't know if anybody's fucking getting anything that I'm saying, because a lot of times I feel like I'm alone. If not for the BAIO members and me talking to them, I would feel like I'm a fucking lunatic. But what's frustrating to me and what's really embarrassing, why is anybody even fucking listening to me? It's an embarrassment that I have a voice that people feel like, oh, wow, we need to listen to this dude. Why? I'm not the most educated dude out here. I came up from in Brooklyn in the projects, dude. Why is people listening? Why is it that I'm able to see this for what it is and see it clearly and see the solution? And you got people who are highly educated, people who calling themselves our leaders, our representatives, our talking heads, our intelligentsia, got their fucking head up their ass. What, am I brilliant or something? Is this something that nobody can figure out? If anything, I'm parroting Amos Wilson. If I hadn't heard Amos Wilson and heard other people who came before me, I wouldn't even be talking the shit that I'm talking now. I'm not special. But this is how sad it is. It's sort of like in America, where the media is so fucked up that at one point, Jon Stewart of The Daily Show was the main source that you go to for information on news. And he's a fucking comedian. I mean, this shit is sad. Why are people listening to some dude from Brooklyn? Some dipshit from Brooklyn and what he has to say when we don't have nobody fucking representing us as a people that we can listen to? Name one. Name one person out here who's for nationhood, who's on a mainstream black talking head who's saying black folks need their own nation. You name them. Fucking nobody. And then we want to sit back and wonder why our kids is fucking bugging out. There's nobody driving this fucking car, y'all. Nobody is behind the goddamn wheel. And when you hear these people talking about cutting checks and reparations and all this bullshit, just keep in mind, you got a bunch of people in a fucking bus and there's no driver. That's what's going on right now. Nobody has no vision for the future. Nobody has a plan. Nobody has any fucking solutions. All they have is fucking catchphrases and emotionalism. Cut the check, cut the check. Like you read, that's activism now. Cut the check. That's activism. God damn it, man. Anyway. Like I said, motherfuckers don't want a nation of their own. Negroes want checks. And these Negroes that want checks, unfortunately, have a bigger microphone than the people who want a nation of their own. And if we don't start raising our voices, if we don't start coming together of people of like mind who want nationhood, and we've created the outlet for you to do that, which is called the BAIO network. We created the outlet for you to get together with people of like mind if you really want a nation of your own. But you know what? If the vast majority of black folks here in America love America so much, and they don't want to form any government of their own, they don't want to form any organizing body of their own, and I'm talking about the vast majority, then what's going to happen is y'all going to sit up here and play this back and forth 3D chess match with the white man here in America, trying to get some reparations that you will never fucking get as individuals. Never get. As a matter of fact, it would be smart if white folks were to give you individual checks for reparation. It would be smart. But they're not even going to waste their time because they know you don't have any leverage to get the check anyway. So why should I cut a check for you when I can use that money towards something else? I'm not going to cut checks for people that have no power. What you going to do if I don't give you the reparations? Cry harder? So they don't give a fuck. You ain't going to get no reparations. But you sit here and you play that fucking game and act like you moving the chess pieces around the board and playing 3D chess with the white man. In the meantime, we'll have enough people in our demographic, the black nationalist and African-centered progressive demographic, to actually form our organizing body and make moves on the continent. It's already happening. It's already happening. We're already getting boots on the ground in major places in Africa, and we already have boots on the ground there already. So at the end of the day, I'm looking positive and I feel positive, despite my being triggered by this bullshit, cut the check bullshit. Overall, I'm positive because I know that we're coming together and we're organizing on a daily basis in the BAIO. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not talking to somebody in the BAIO where we're fixing some problem or working on something. So if I'm just sending out a beacon of light to anybody out here who wants a nation of their own, if you're an intelligent black person and you're not a blithering idiot and a moron, and you actually want to have a nation of your own, I implore you, join the BAIO social network, join your local chapter, Meet and greet with people of like mind in your area, and utilize your talents and your skills to help this organization and to help your nation. That's my suggestion. I'm throwing out a beacon of light. That's all I can do. I'm not going to sit up here and go back and forth with cowards. I'm not going to go back and forth with people who don't want a nation of their own and who just want to check. Oh, after all of the fucking suffering that we've gone through in this country, all the death, all the injustice. It's like black people are the only people who are expected to live with injustice and just woven into the fabric of their reality. After all of that, you've narrowed it down to a catchphrase called cut the check. And that's the highest echelon of activism in 2019. Anyway, I'll holler at you good people later. Peace.
You can't compare to the status right here. Legendary worldwide, we can battle right here. Listen, Junior, I'ma tear back your wig. This ain't TV, but I'll show you what a fear factor is. Stop grilling me, and all that fronting is killing me. You leave me no choice but to hurt your feelings, G.
About to slap rappers around and bruise the game.